जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यशोदा यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधे जया गौरा निताय, गौरा निताय, गौरा निताय, जया गौरा निताय। जया जगन्नाथ, जगन्नाथ, जया बलदेवा, जया सुभद्रा। जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरण अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सच ठाकुर गोसाई महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से बोलो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, वृंदावन धाम की, मथुरा धाम की, मायापुर नवदीप धाम की, गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल्ड, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज, ग्लोरीज टू श्री श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरंगा वैष्णव श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमो पंकजनाभाय, नमो पंकजमालिने, नमो पंकजनेत्राय, नमस्ते पंकजांग्रहे। So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, Text 2. Just pull it. This is a new canto, so ना ही अस्यार्थः सुरागणे साक्षान् निःश्रेयसा आत्मनः न वश्रुभ्यो विद्वेषः न उद्वेग च अगुणस्य ही। न हि यस्य अर्थः सुरागणे साक्षान् निःश्रेयसा आत्मनः न एव असुरेभ्यः nodvegascha gunasya hi. Nayasyartha suragane.
Hare Krishna, Babu, we cannot hear.
Yeah, I was on mute. I was. Yes. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Nayasyartha suragane. No, not. He, certainly. Asya, his. Artha, benefit, interest. Suragane, with the demigods. Sakshad, personally. Nishreyasa, of the highest bliss. Ātmārāma, whose nature. Na, not. Eva, certainly. Asurebhyaha, for the demons. Vidveshaha, envy. Na, not. Udvega, fear. Cha, and agunasya, who possesses no material qualities. He, certainly. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Lord Vishnu himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the reservoir of all pleasure. Therefore, what benefit would he derive from siding with the demigods? What interest would he fulfill in this way? Since the Lord is transcendental, why should he fear the asuras, and how could he be envious of them? Purport. We should always remember the distinction between spiritual and material. That which is material is infected by material qualities, but these qualities cannot touch that which is spiritual or transcendental. Krishna is absolute, whether he is in the material world or spiritual world. When we see partiality in Krishna, this vision is due to his external energy. Otherwise, how could his enemies attain salvation after being killed by him? Everyone who deals with the Supreme Personality of Godhead gradually acquires the qualities of the Lord. The more one advances in spiritual consciousness, the less he is affected by the duality of material qualities. The Supreme Lord, therefore, must certainly be freed from these qualities. His enmity and friendship are external features presented by the material energy. He is always transcendental. He is absolute, whether he kills or bestows his favor. Envy and friendship arise in one who is imperfect. We fear our enemies because in the material world we are always in need of help. The Lord, however, does not need anyone's help, for he is ātmārāma. The Lord says in Bhagavad-gītā chapter 9, 26 verse, patraṁ, puṣpaṁ, phalaṁ toyaṁ, yo me bhaktyā prayacchati, tad ahaṁ bhakty-upahṛtam aśnāmi prayatātmanaḥ. If a devotee offers me with devotion a little leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I shall accept it. Why does the Lord say this? Is he dependent on the offering of the devotee? He is not actually dependent. but he likes to be dependent upon his devotee. This is his mercy. Similarly, he does not fear the asuras. Thus, there is no question of partiality in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nama om Vishnu padaya Krishna preshtaya bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti namine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sorry, I didn't chant the full Prabhupada mantra. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamham vande Shri Guru Dīnataranam. So Srila Prabhupada in this translation and purport has actually answered the question in one way to this verse when it is being asked by Sukadev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj. Sukadev Goswami is asking Parikshit Maharaj that why is there apparent impartiality by the Lord? So, as we can see in the previous canto 6, that is for, so every canto has different attributes, like 6th canto is for Poshanam, how the Lord maintains, and this canto 7th is for Uti or inclination, how the auspicious and inauspicious inclinations of the living entities causes good or bad results, So Srila Prabhupada has very beautifully described in this purport about the difference between the spiritual and the material qualities, and how these qualities cannot touch someone who is transcendental, the material qualities. So, and then Prabhupada mentions that we see partiality in Krishna. This vision is due to his external energy. Otherwise, how could his enemies attain salvation after being killed by him? So Prabhupada is mentioning that although these enemies like Hiranyakashipu or Hiranyaksha, they were killed by Varahadev and Narsinghadev, but even after being killed, they were actually liberated. So there is no impartiality by the Lord. And the one more advances in spiritual consciousness, the less he is affected by the duality of material qualities. The Supreme Lord, therefore, must certainly be freed from these qualities. And we see in this canto, 7th canto, it is talked about, uti, which is inclination. So we see the inclination of Hiranyakashipu, who was a demon, and this whole 7th canto is about Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad, as we know. So the inclination of Hiranyakashipu was inauspicious, right? He was envious of God. He was envious of his own son because he worshipped someone else apart from him. And he wanted to kill him. And how did this inclination come about? Is because he stopped the 4 Kumaras at the gates of Vaikuntha, right? In the previous birth, he was Jai Vijay, and then later he came as Ravan and Kumbhakarna, and then Dantavakra and Shishupal. So that was the inauspicious inclination that arose in his heart. And on the other side, we see auspicious inclination of Prahlad Maharaj by getting association from his guru Narad Muni. And Narad Muni gave the knowledge. He is the guru of Prahlad. He gave the knowledge of the soul of the spiritual science to Prahlad Maharaj when he was in the womb of his mother Kayadu, right? So due to that knowledge, Prahlad Maharaj had a good inclination or auspicious inclination, due to which he was able to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Prabhupada writes in the purport, envy and friendship arise in one who is imperfect. So in this world we see people are envious of each other, and obviously one of the reasons for being envy is because we want what others have, right? And we are not satisfied in what we currently have. And one of the root cause of envy is our ego. And when we act on our ego, we are limited to our own strength and egos only, right? When we have ego. But if we are surrendered to God, then nothing is impossible for us. So Srila Prabhupada, when he was coming on the Jaladuta, he didn't have anything. And he had faith in Krishna, Ado Shraddha. Most important thing is the faith. So we have to understand that this material world is actually based on faith. When we talk about scientific community, right, and we talk about the knowledge that is there in this world, it is actually based on faith. So most of the times, like all of us have studied physics, right, in our childhood. We talk about electrons, neutrons. So all those things, how many of us have seen? I haven't seen that. But we have faith that, okay, it is there, right? And there are so many theories that are established based on faith in the material world, scientific theories, astronomical theories, geographical theories. And even things that are, scientifically are very consolidated baseline, they are still changing. For example, Hubble's constant, it changed 6 times. Although it's the value of a constant that is used for some astronomical calculation, that value changed like 6 times. It's never a constant. And because the reason is it is based on our sense perception, right? With our limited senses, how much we can see or understand, right? We have, because mostly people believe that, okay, whatever I can see, I can smell, I can hear, I can touch, those are the things that actually exist, and anything beyond that, I do not agree. It's blind faith. So, if you see from that perspective, even the theories in this world are also blind faith, right? So in the Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna says, whatever is night for the spiritualist is day for the materialist, and whatever is, night for the materialist is day for the spiritualist. And, we as spiritualists, we believe in these scriptures. We believe in Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj that existed in the Sati Yuga time, which is like millions of years ago. And now, we are in the current age where, if you talk about even 300, 400 years back, people won't, believe that. Like America actually became independent and everything came, one of the leading economies in the world right now, it became independent like 200 years back, right? 250 years back. So, okay, till that time people believe. After that, oh, I don't know what happened. But Jesus also came 2000 years back. Buddha also came 2500 years back. And we talk about Krishna, he came 5000 years back. But then historians say, oh, maybe it is not true, we don't know. Right? But still there are scientific, researches, fossil studies, which talks about the, remains from these plants and trees that goes millions of years back, radioactive carbon dating, all those things are there. So whatever this pastime of 7th canto, it happened between Prahlad Maharaj, Nrsimhadev, it's millions of years ago. What to believe, 500 years ago. So Prabhupada would sometime talk about Lord Chaitanya and he would say, it just happened recently 500 years ago. So for Prabhupada, 500 years is very recent, But it is very hard for us to believe, for us it may be like 500 years, oh my God, our lifespan is, 50, 60, 70, whatever average lifespan is right now. So time is very relative, and time is eternal. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gītā, Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam, that I am controlling this material world. Then what is impossible for Krishna to do, right? So he says nothing borns and dies. So, and people start saying that, how can your Krishna have 16,108 wives? It's not possible. Well, for Krishna, who has, created this universe, beautiful sun, it's coming up every day, and, this universe in itself is a miracle, how it is created. Then why only 16,100 wives? Krishna can have 16,100,100,000 wives, right? And still he can maintain all of them comfortably, and no one would complain to get a parking in Grand Avenue, they can all, so they can all be comfortable. So Krishna can do that. It's not impossible. So this pastime took place at the end of Satyuga, right, which is millions of years ago, and it was spoken by Sukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj at the end of Dwapar Yuga. And when was it spoken? It was spoken when Parikshit Maharaj asked the question in the 6th canto that the sons of Diti, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they are demons. And why did the Lord always took side of the demigods and is helping Indra to kill his demons? So looks like the Lord is very partial. And then Sukadev Goswami replied that demigods generally flourish when there is sato guna, goodness is there, and the demons flourish when there is tamo guna and rajo guna. And then he also refers to the example of the conversation between Narad Muni and Parikshit Maharaj that happened at the Rajasuya sacrifice. Yesterday, Vijay Prabhu was very nicely mentioning how Krishna, took the job of washing the feet of those who were, the guests at the Rajasuya sacrifice. So at the Rajasuya sacrifice, Krishna beheaded Shishupal because he was always, criticizing Krishna, and so he beheaded Shishupal, and Shishupal, when he left his body, his soul actually merged into Krishna, and everybody saw that. So there is different kind of liberations that Prabhupada explains, in Nectar of Devotion. Sayujya Mukti, Samipya Mukti, and all those different 5 kinds of liberation. And everybody was surprised that how is Krishna so impartial? Shishupal is a demon, and he got liberated. So at that time, Narad Muni narrated this pastime. And that's how the 7th canto actually starts. That the Lord is neutral, how the Lord is neutral. Then the pastime of Nrsimhadev and Hiranyakashipu, it comes into picture. Because Hiranyakashipu was also killed by the Lord. So that's how it comes into picture. And Narad Muni is basically taking immense pleasure in glorifying Prahlad Maharaj. Not because Prahlad is his disciple. Obviously, when Narad Muni spoke the message of spirituality to Prahlad, he became inclined towards Krishna. But not because he is his disciple, but because he feels that he is superior to him. In the Bhagavad-gītā, Sanatana Goswami mentions that Narad Muni is looking for who is the best devotee, and he goes to Prahlad. And Prahlad says, no, I am not a great devotee. I always take service from Krishna. Krishna has to come to help me, to protect me in times of need. So I am not a very great devotee. I take service from him. I want to give service. See Hanumanji always renders service unto Lord Ram. So he's a better devotee than me. So that is the mood of the devotee, that the good qualities that are there, that should be appreciated. And also in this canto, Prahlad Maharaj is displaying pure devotional services. So in the 7th canto, there is a display of two kinds of bhakti. One is the pure devotional service, which is Shuddha Bhakti, and second is the Mishra Bhakti, which is mixed with Jnana and Karma, which are in the last 5 chapters. But the first 10 chapters are basically focused on pure devotional services. So we are talking about this material knowledge and spiritual knowledge. How can we believe in, Satya Yuga, this happened millions of years ago, or maybe, Lord Brahma, he took birth from a guy's navel and he got out of the lotus flower and he has 4 heads. How can we believe all these things? So, Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill. How can we have faith in that, right? So there is a science of epistemology, which is the study of acquiring knowledge, how we can acquire knowledge, right? So there are different branches to it, and there are different modes. Obviously, one is the sense perception through our senses. One is through guess, anuman praman, through hypothesis. And one is through the Shabda Pramana, which is coming through the scriptures, coming through the disciplic succession. And if you see the material knowledge and the spiritual knowledge, both of them actually require faith, right? So if we put faith in the scriptures also, we see a lot of things which are in the scriptures which are now proven to be true. Like, for example, cow dung. It says cow dung is antiseptic, it is pure. Right now, it is scientifically proven. Yes, it is there. And I have seen in houses in Mumbai, big people, even millionaires. Now, instead of plaster, because they say plaster gets off in few years, so now they are using cow dung on the walls because it is antiseptic, doesn't falls off so quickly. In Mumbai, India.
We have to repatch cow dung.
Yeah, you have to repatch. But
it's the best fertilizer,
right? It's there in scriptures. It doesn't talk about some other animal's dung or stool, but it talks about cow dung specifically, the scriptures. So it is proving to be true. And one more thing was the concept of atomic clock. If you study the modern atomic clock, what is the smallest unit of time that atomic clock can measure? We may know of millisecond, microsecond, nanosecond, right? 10 to the power minus 12 or something. But this atomic clock can measure even smaller time than nanosecond. And what is the concept it is based on? It is based on the vibration of the atom. The time it takes for the atom to actually vibrate. And exactly same sloka is there in Bhagavatam. It talks about the vibration of the āṇu. āṇu means atom. It gives the smallest unit of time, right? Like nimesha, right? The blinking of that time, and it goes, more into smaller units of time. So it is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. So isn't this scientific? And then you also have like prediction of various personalities like Chanakya Pandit and Gautam Buddha and so many other Bhavishya Purana. They have prediction of so many great saints or people who are going to appear in the future. You know, all of that is there. His Holiness Bhadranath Swami Maharaj was once, in his class telling that Prabhupada's parents used to call a lot of, sadhus to their home for prasadam in the evening. So one time one yogi came, mystic yogi, and Prabhupada always wanted to, test them. Because sometimes most of the sadhus are not genuine, right? They are trying to fool you. Maybe gain some dhanam or janam or sundarim. Right? They want money, wealth, followers, so they are trying to fool you. But some of them are really genuine. So he always wanted to see whether he is the real one or not. So once some yogi came and he said, he didn't ask for apple or banana. He said, can you get me a date from that place in, Saudi Arabia or somewhere? And to Prabhupada's surprise, yeah? What is that? Pomegranate. Okay, pomegranate. Sorry, I forgot it. Afghanistan. Pomegranate from Afghanistan. And then Prabhupada, and he said, okay, it is there in the next room. When Prabhupada went there, he was surprised to see it was actually there. So how is this happening? Right? And this is just a small miracle, right? But what Prabhupada did, he said, I came here to America with 40 rupees. And I have heard some devotees say that he didn't even had 40 rupees. He gave to his son Vrindavan. And after a few years, he said, now I have property worth 40 crore. Crore in English is like 10 million, right? Which is 40 million or something rupees. So that would run into like millions of dollars now, or billions of dollars. So that's a bigger, mysticism. And then Prabhupada also said that when he came to Tompkins Square Park, he didn't even have a mridanga. Imagine. Forget about, whole crew now. Wherever we do kirtan, we want mridanga player, kartal player, and harmonium, and everybody. Prabhupada didn't have anything. Somebody got what is that? Banjo drum or something? Bongo drum. Huh? Only half of the side of the bongo drum. He said, I didn't have anything. And he was just chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So he said that this is the power of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It's Golokera. Narottam Das Thakur says, Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. It's coming from the spiritual world. It's not an ordinary sound vibration. And Prabhupada had that faith. He said, my dear Lord, I do not have any qualification. I cannot even speak. Prabhupada had a broken Bengali accent. And he's talking to these, white Anglo-Saxon Americans, right, or Europeans. They have no clue what Bengali accent means. Right? And he's praying, my dear Lord, if you wish, if it is your will, if it is your mercy, then please make them understand. Make me your puppet, so that they can actually understand this message of Krishna. So yes, the first step, whether it is material knowledge or spiritual knowledge, is Shraddha, Ado Shraddha. Prabhupada had that faith that in the words of Krishna, in the words of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj, the first instruction that he got at the one Ulta Danga Junction Road on the rooftop, that you go and spread the message of Lord Chaitanya to the whole world. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur didn't say, you spread the message of just Bhagavad-gītā. He said, Lord Chaitanya's teaching. So it encompasses such a vast range of teachings. And how to achieve that faith, how to achieve that Shraddha, in the spiritual knowledge, is through Mahajano Yena Gatha Sapantha. One of the Mahajan is Narada Muni. So through the footsteps of the great saints, we can actually develop faith. And then when we associate with devotees, our faith that is still not mature gets more ripened, gets developed, gets a clear vision. So that is how we can develop more faith and progress in spiritual life. So one of the other aspect here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in this thing is envy and friendship arise in one who is imperfect, right? We fear our enemies because in the material world we are always in need of help. And how to become fearless? Govinda Das, the great poet, says, what is that bhajan? Bhajahure man Shri Nandanandana Abhay Charana Arvindare. When we take shelter of the Lord, we become fearless. So, with our limited ego, with our limited strength, we can only do so much. Srila Prabhupada didn't say, oh, I am a Bhakti Vedanta, I wrote this commentary on Bhagavad-gītā, I can do everything, I can just... But he said, no, my Lord, I am nothing. I need your mercy. He surrendered himself to the Lord, to Krishna. He said, I am like a puppet. Nachao, nachao, Prabhu, nachao se mate. So then, if we take shelter of Lord, we can do unlimited things. So something which is impossible, we can do those things. But until the time we are holding on to our capabilities, skills and strength, because all of these are going to anyways end one day, as with our life. But when we take shelter of Krishna, it will be eternal. And when we are talking about time, time is eternal in the spiritual world, right? So we have more time or done? Okay. Yeah. So, and then in this translation, it is said that why would the Lord be fearful? Why, since the Lord is transcendental, why should he fear the asuras? So Krishna is never fearful, One of the pastime of Krishna is like when he goes to kidnap Rukmini, Rukmini actually writes in the letter that Krishna, one day before marriage, because his brother Rukmi is trying to get her married to Shishupal. So she says that one day before the marriage, I am going to a temple, in Durga temple. That's like a ritual. So what you do is you come to the temple and kidnap me from there. And all these, Jarasandh, Shishupal, they have big armies, 26 Akshahoni armies, and one Akshahoni has like 21,870 chariots, such a huge army. And Krishna with all he's fearless, with all his strength, all his valor and bravery, he just comes and takes away Rukmini and everyone is just watching. So there are, different kind of marriages used to be done those days. So this is one kind of marriage. You can show your strength, kidnap, and then take away the girl. So Krishna is like is never fearless. So it's a very beautiful pastime in the 10th canto. If you get time, I'm sure you might have read it. But Krishna is never fearful. And in the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that Krishna is dependent. Is Krishna dependent on the offering of the devotee? I was hearing one audio clip of Prabhupada. Prabhupada was like, his voice was choking. He said, Krishna doesn't need anything from us. He has Shastra Lakshmi. He has thousands of Lakshmis serving him. Do you think your Chappan Bhog or this or that, it will please Krishna? It will not. Unless it is offered with love. Obviously, if we offer Chappan Bhog with love, Krishna will definitely accept it. But like Duryodhan, he offered so many different things, but Krishna rejected it. He went to Vidura and just took the banana peel. So he likes to be dependent upon his devotee. Like yesterday we offered Chappan cakes. Right? It was Girdhari Priya Prabhu's nice idea. And Krishna definitely, so many devotees cooked with love. So Krishna definitely accepts that kind of love and appreciation. That is what he's looking for. So that is the mercy of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada ends that thus there is no question of partiality in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We might think that yes, he is partial to demigods or demons, but actually he is not partial. And in the later verses, after verse 14 to 12, there would be a philosophical answer that would be given by Sukadev Goswami. What Narad Muni is telling Yudhishthir Maharaj. So that will be given in detail in the following verses. So So let us share our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. Because of his prayers, we are able to understand this knowledge which is beyond the senses. This world can only acquire knowledge which is within the senses, but we are able to acquire the knowledge which is beyond the senses, very difficult to obtain. So, and through the prayers of Srila Prabhupada, we are able to read this, and understand this, and get closer to Sri Krishna and on the path of pure devotional service. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Comments? Any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhupada. When we used to go to the farm, I had the nice service of taking care of manure, cow dung.
Okay.
And with Damodar Prabhu at the farm, he was saying, this is black gold.
Oh, black gold.
He said all the farmers, they're looking for this,
Oh,
and then, so I was appreciating how the cows, they produce so much nice things,
Yeah.
Their urine, dung, everything is so beneficial for the human
Exactly.
beings.
Yeah, and it is, scientists are discovering it now. It has been there in ancient knowledge since thousands of years. And like you were saying, it's a black gold, right? It's used in fertilizer. There are companies in India and all over the world also. There are billion-dollar companies which only sell cow products because it can cure so many diseases, a vast variety of diseases. Billions of dollars. I'm not joking or exaggerating. It's the reality. Yeah, it is wide range of benefits. Ramdev, yeah. How many? 200. Over 200 products. Prabhu is saying of one company in India, Patanjali, Ramdev. They are selling 200 products of cow products, like including milk, urine, cow dung, and people are getting benefit from it. That's why they are buying it, right? Why would they buy something which doesn't make any sense? And I myself personally have, tried those products. It really works. It's really good. Yes, Prabhu.
Right. So that's, Ramapati, that's if, when the cow's living, the products that are freely offered, 200.
Like cow milk or
Yeah.
urine or dung or, yeah.
I mean, it would be nice if they could, when the cow dies naturally, with him, so then they
Yes.
can use the
Yes.
carcass for so many different things. I remember when I was in legal studies, there was a lawsuit by a vegan who had gotten a throat swab to test, but they found out there was some bovine ingredient in the throat swab, so they were suing that they were. and the judge finally goes, look, there has to be some limit to this. I'm sorry, but it's the idea that even in a throat swab in a medical facility, the cow can be used for something like that. What to speak of all the other nutrients and things that can be rendered from it. So it's a wonderful animal. It's doing so much for us alive, and especially even after it leaves the body. What do you think Prabhupada's son did with those 40 rupees?
Whoever you heard that from, it's not true.
Not true?
Whoever you heard that from, it's not true.
He
Because when
didn't follow.
Prabhupada went back to India, he still had the 40
He
rupees.
still had the 40 rupees.
And he got a rickshaw. And the rickshaw wallet ripped him off. He cheated him. So he kept that 40 rupees. He didn't give it to his son.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a false rumor.
Vijay, I was wondering, that story about Prabhupada returning with the 40 rupees and then being ripped off, where does that come from? Because it's not in Lilamrita. Where is it?
Well, yeah, Ramapati also. I read everything that's ever been written about Prabhupada, so I read it somewhere. It was Harisari's book, yeah. He still had that 40 rupees, and he got cheated by a rickshaw wallet.
I see. Captain. And Prabhu, before, you were mentioning about the cows, so beneficial, right? So one quote from Prabhupada I wanted to share. Prabhupada says the barometer of the advancement of a society is based on how they treat the cows. Like if the cows are treated like mothers, they are not killed or sent to slaughterhouses, then that civilization advances, obviously spiritual advancement and spiritual knowledge. But if they are not, then it's not advanced civilization.
I was in an ethics class in college, and the professor was Buddhist, and he showed some documentary, and it was saying that we treat the animals like the Nazis treated the Jewish people. You know, like that's how. Yeah, it's a good way of thinking of that, right?
Yeah.
Like we're so against that, but we're doing this to animals every single day.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you guys know if you take a tour of Prabhupada's quarters in LA, they have symbolically that money in the case.
Oh, they haven't?
Yeah, showing that he showed up with this many rupees. I had just one quick note, but I did have a question for you about the purport.
Sure.
The summer before I joined the ashram, I was invited to Orange County. I had a friend from college who was a nurse, and she had married a doctor, and they had this nice house, and they were doing these renovations. And it was COVID lockdown. It was a crazy time, but I thought, okay, I'll get to Southern California. I'll try to integrate. Maybe I can go to Long Beach for a bit, but the temples weren't open, so I was just kind of stranded there. But they would do these weekend trips, so we did this weekend trip to Las Vegas, and that's a crazy place. I guess we have a temple there, but like the Strip is like, you know, no place for a devotee. But they kept telling me, one of these places has one of your gods there. One of your gods is here. And I was like, what's going on? So we're walking, the way it works on the ground floor there on the Strip is all the bottom floors of the different places just blend into each other. So you're just like wandering, like a continuous pattern through all these lights and sounds and craziness. And all of a sudden, after a long time, I came across four-headed Brahma. They have a huge four-headed Brahma statue, for whatever reason, in one of those. Yeah. And it was sitting, and it was huge, and it had four heads, and people were just walking by it like, you know, and I was just like, wow, of all places, well, you have this here, you know? I forget which place it was in, I didn't even know, but I stumbled upon it, and she goes, there's your God, right? I was like, and I started speaking all this crazy philosophy, and they didn't get it, but I was like so impressed. Wow, in the middle of like this place that I'm so lost in, here's four-headed Brahma, you know? And so think of that tour of duty. He's going to sit there. Look at these rascals. So my question is, it says in the purport, it talks about that I'm thinking of like Roijibiv, like the light spectrum from red to violet, and green's the barometer.
Correct,
so whether you're Asuric or you're Daivik, whether you're a demon or you're a demigod, like those are the ends of the strata, right? The red or the violet. Green's right in the middle. You're in Krishna's mercy either way. Whether you're full-on demon or you're full-on demigod, no matter how he's treating you, you're getting some mercy and potency from him. Because it's saying if he kills a demon, they're getting his mercy, like they're delivered. Or if you're like a really powerful demigod or you know a devotee and you're getting his mercy that way. So it's like no matter what you're doing in this material world, if you're doing it intensely, aren't you getting Krishna's mercy?
No, not at all. This doesn't give us a license to become demons.
No, but it's awesome that they're taken care of in a roundabout way.
But you see the past lives of them, right? These are devotees of the Lord. These are Jai and Vijay, right? Yeah. These are not originally like demons. These are the devotees of the Lord, and they just took birth.
Playing the role of the demon? They're just playing the role of a demon?
Yeah, obviously.
Sign me up.
Yes, Prabhu, you can speak.
I think it's in Chaitanya Chakramrita, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one of his Chaitanya Bhagavat commentaries. I think this is from Chaitanya Chakramrita, where he says that Krishna, it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Krishna comes to this world when, like Prabhupada said, you know, Krishna, he bothers himself only with big demons. So when nobody else can kill a particular demon, when there's literally nobody else in the material world who can kill a particular demon, then that's when Krishna comes. So as long as you become more powerful than anybody in the material world, then you can get killed by Krishna.
A lot of devotion.
Yeah. So good luck.
These are not like small villains in this world. You know, when Hiranyakashipu will raise his brows, Indra and demigods will tremble in fear. You know, they're very high quality demons. It's not like Al Capone or any of this world's villains or gangsters. Not even Al Capone. He's nothing in front of Hiranyakashipu.
To what Tyler's saying, though, there is a verse, actually, I think it's in this chapter specifically, that because it's talking about Shishupal, and in the verse in purport, the emphasis is actually on that the asuras and the asuras are both perfected by if they're thinking of Krishna, and so it's not saying just for Shishupal because he's Jai or Vijay, but saying like any demon who hates Krishna actually is benefited by their absorption in Krishna. And Prabhupada's his qualification of that isn't that, surprisingly, that's why I thought it was remarkable. Isn't that well, it's beneficial for these people just because of their background, but other demons wouldn't be. Saying that really any demon, just don't do it. That's what's kind of funny about it. He's just saying that to the demons who are absorbed in Krishna because they hate Krishna, because they want to be, for whatever the reason is, they're benefited. Just don't do it. So and it just comes like a few times in the purport. Like, would it be good for you? Yes, but don't do it. Be a devotee instead.
Yeah, exactly. In Bhagavad-gītā also that comes. Yeah.
Maybe.
Don't be like Kamsa. Because he's also thinking of Krishna. So Prabhupada mentions, don't be like Kamsa. We don't want to be like that. Yeah, good point. Thank you, Mukund Charan Prabhu. Good point. Yeah. And Mamuglila Prabhu for sharing that perspective. You have to be a very big demon. Any other comments or questions? Or maybe from
I have a question.
Okay, Vijay Prabhu, yes. Vijay Krishna Prabhu. Right?
May I?
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, in the translation to the text you chose for today, I see that, quote, since the Lord is transcendental, why should he fear the asuras? And how could he be envious of them? Unquote. This quote reminds me of Krishna being fearful of Mother Yashoda. So based on this, my question is, how do you make the difference between Krishna being transcendental and being, although transcendental, having transcendental fear of Mother Yashoda and not having fear of the asuras?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So, Krishna, to increase the rasa, the vatsalya bhav, or the love of parenthood between Mother Yashoda and himself, he behaves as if he's, fearful of Mother Yashoda. That is because of his potency. Krishna has, different potencies, spiritual potency and material potencies. So through that he's creating kind of illusion where Mother Yashoda forgets that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he forgets that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he gets fearful of Mother Yashoda. But if you see, on the other hand, when he was just born, he killed Putana. He was not fearful of, Putana. He jumped with Putana up in the air, and he was like all over her and, sucked the life breath of her. So yes, at one time he's Krishna himself, but other time through his Yogamaya potency, through his illusory potency, spiritually illusory potency, he creates that environment where the devotees think that he's not God, or he thinks that he represents that he's not God to his devotees. So he becomes fearful. Otherwise there is no taste, right? Otherwise everybody would be like folding hands in front of Krishna. Oh Krishna, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just one rasa will be there, reverence, Aishwarya Bhav will be there. There won't be any reciprocation of parenthood, right? A parent always chastises the child, and the child is always fearful of the parent in case they do something wrong. And at that time he broke all these butter pots, and he was with his friends, he created all the mess in the house. And generally mothers, I have that experience, mother gets angry when kids and husbands create mess in the house. So yeah, that's why she was angry, and he became fearful. Okay, yes mother, I will not do that. So it's to exchange loving reciprocation. Fear in this world, material world, is more considered as a derogatory term, or something which is not good. But spiritually, that fear in the spiritual world, or in relation to Krishna, that fear is also creating loving reciprocation between Yashoda and Krishna. That is creating a bond between them. That okay, I have the right to chastise you, and Krishna is reciprocate. Oh, I have the right to be fearful of you because I respect you as my mother. You are my eternal mother. Because Yashoda and Nanda had done thousands of years of austerities in the previous, life to get Krishna as their son. So they have the right to chastise Krishna or take a stick and run after him. Does it make sense, Prabhu? Or yes, you want to add something?
Yes, totally. Thank you very much. Very helpful answer. Hare Krishna.
I just
Hare
found
Krishna.
that verse.
Thank you.
That verse that Tyler's comment reminded me of is here.
Yashoda bhiyo luk ladhava manam. It is in that also, right? Damodarashtakam. Yes, you go ahead.
Oh, I see. So the verse I was thinking of is this. By enmity or by devotional service, by affection or by lusty desire, by all of these or any one of them, if a conditioned soul somehow or other concentrates his mind upon the Lord, the result is the same. Which is generally not at all the emphasis. But the first thing Prabhupada says in the purport is, from this verse, one should not conclude that because Krishna is unaffected by favorable prayers or unfavorable blasphemy, one should therefore blaspheme the Lord. That is not the regulative principle. And then he goes on. The stress, our stress is, we stress the favorable execution of devotional service, not purposeful blasphemy of the Lord.
Okay, wow, very nice verse. Which can you tell the verse number? Which?
It is this chapter. It's 7.126.
7.126. So Vijay Krishna Prabhu, you can also refer to this verse 7.126. Mukund Charan Prabhu has found this verse in relation to this answer.
What are the numbers?
Canto 7, chapter 1, and verse 26. It's in the same chapter that we are reading right now. It's just verse 26.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Yeah, we'll study in a few weeks. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.